What are the main 4 principles for a winning logo design? Let's explore the 4 pillars of logo designing with actual live examples in today's video right here at Satori Graphics. There is going to be a test at the very end of today's video, so do make sure to follow along and listen to today's 4 graphic design principles and maybe learn a thing or two about your very own graphic design workflow. Now, you might have heard about some of these before, but do follow along so you can be reminded of how crucially important these 4 principles are and see if you are doing things right in your logo design process. It might be a good idea to bookmark today's video so you can refer back to it at any point in future logo design projects. Logo designs do need to be simple for many important reasons. Firstly, if the logo is busy and overly complicated, the message of the brand isn't going to be conveyed that well, and this could cause damage to the brand's effectiveness and their success. Simple logo designs are easy to remember, which is a huge win for any brand or business. They do want to remain in the minds of the end consumer, which is crucially important. Now, here's a small trick that branding agencies and professional logo designers know about. Brands want to play on the emotions of their consumers, and if a logo design is simple, then the user is going to react emotionally to that design, whereas a complicated and intricate design is going to result in cognition being used as opposed to emotion. Brands and businesses want the logo designs to evoke emotion because that then leads to more of an affinity with the brand and thus more spending on the part of the consumer. So the key thing to take away from the first principle of simplicity is that a logo design should be simple so it's more memorable in the end user or consumer of that very logo design. Less is often more when it comes to designing a logo, and so try and simplify your logos as much as possible. Your logo design might look really neat and effective blown up on your desktop screen, but take that logo and then put it on a 85mm by 55mm business card and see how that works out for you. Now, has that logo just turned into a smudgy, blurry mess? Well, if it has, that's why scalability is so important for logo designs. A client is probably going to use their logo on business cards, apps, brochures, and maybe even as a favicon. And if you don't know what favicons are, there's a video linked in the top right corner. A competent logo designer will be aware of this along every single step in the logo design process, and you should always pay attention to the scalability of your logo designs whilst you're working on them. So scalability is really crucial in modern day graphic design because smartphones are a really accessible resource to the internet, and thus brands and companies are going to have their logos on very small screens more and more with each coming year. And so you really need to make sure your logos are scalable specifically for smartphones and other forms of media too. One of the most important logo design principles, if not the single most important one, is legibility. This can link back to the scalability, but it also is so much more than that. Sometimes designers will try and be clever or unique by incorporating design elements that are really abstract, but this can leave the end user scratching their heads and not really understanding what the logo symbol refers to, or in the case of a typographic logo, they can't even read what it says. Now, head scratchers are bad for business, and so the logo should be legible at the drop of a hat and easily recognizable. You also want to make sure the logo type is legible, so consider things like kerning, leading, size, weight, and also font pairing when designing the logo as a whole. So like with simplicity, you don't really want to add too much to a logo design, and you don't want to have too many elements that confuse the message. Clever is not always better, and you need to make a really strong impact with one solid graphic design. And so the logo type and also the logo symbol really do need to be memorable to that end user. How many of the 3 previous points do you always consider in your logo designs? Well, let's move on to the fourth one, and that is relatability. So how does the logo relate to the brand's message and the end user? This is something you really want to think about and consider because it's one of the most fundamental aspects of a logo design. When relating back to the brand, does your design respect the brand's message? Your choice of logo type and the logo mark itself is essentially the voice of the brand, and so you need to understand that voice. Is it friendly and loud? Maybe it's modest and quiet. Or it could be a superior and proud voice. Just think about, what is this voice and how can you represent it with a single design? That is essentially what a huge part of logo designing is all about. It's just figuring out the voice of the brand or the business and then communicating that voice in a simple, easy to remember logo design. How relatable the logo is to the brand's target market is really important to the success of the business as a whole, and thus the traction the company actually gets after the logo has been launched. There are of course many elements to a business success, but the logo design is a really key and crucial element that needs to be done correctly for the success of that brand or that business. But let's test your knowledge and also your awareness, because we're going to head right into a quiz now on all of the content in today's video. Which one of these wasn't a logo design principle that I talked about in today's video? So no multiple choice on this one, but what was the key reason for simplicity in a logo design? In the video, I said brands make use of simplicity in a logo design by evoking what? Again, no multiple choice, but apart from business cards, which accessible resource did I say logo designs appear very small in scale on? What is most likely to be the smallest instance a logo design is going to be seen in? Without multiple choice, which logo did I show in the video that has poor legibility? And lastly, in the video, apart from the brand's message, what else should the logo relate to? So yeah, like I said, this was a quick but a very useful video on logo designing. These 4 principles should always be in the back of your mind when you're designing a logo. And like I said, maybe just bookmark this video somewhere so you can refer back to it for future logo design projects. Now I'm Satori, and until next time guys, design your future today. Peace.